right? And then other days you get there and the only ones who are there are, yeah, the negative case with you guys, so I'm glad you're here. Do feel free as we go along today. There's a lot of food there. It's hard for you to see this across the thing, but I'm just going to share with you what's up here on the screen, okay? And I want to have street sort of an image they're trying to create. And we have, you guys see that? And so we've got, we'll see how that goes. All right, so this is a book called What Do You Do With an Idea? It's written by Kobe Yamada. Come on up, because I've got a copy of What to Do With an Idea. Come on up. I didn't write your names in it, but it is on. This, by the way, gets you out of having to say thanks to me. Very good. Thank you. Anyone. And I'd like to introduce Governor Bruce
Rauner. Good morning. Good morning. Nice to see you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for your passion for business. Thank you for your passion for entrepreneurship and your strong desire to be leaders and be CEOs. You are going to be creating the future jobs in Illinois. You're the future of Illinois, and I work for you. Everything I do every day is to have you, our young people, our future leaders, have a better future. Everything I do, every decision we make is designed to have you have a better future. We focus on two things here in our administration in Illinois. One, having the best education system in America. We're putting more money into our schools, into your high schools, all the schools across Illinois. We want to support not only our high schools, our elementary schools, our early childhood education, our community colleges, our university system. We want the best education system in America. We're working to do that. The other thing we need to do is create an environment where entrepreneurs and business owners can build their businesses. An environment where you can be competitive, where you can grow, where you can have confidence that your business will succeed. So you keep the regulations on you reasonable, keep the tax burden on you reasonable, make sure that we've got a network of support, mentoring opportunities and financing opportunities, and a strong, vibrant economy. So you have customers here, you have suppliers here, you have a great workforce coming up in an education system that you can hire, people that you can hire and make your business thrive and be competitive. Everything we're doing is to try to achieve that. You know, I've been governor for 2 years. I was never been in public service before that. I'd been a business builder. I'd actually been a venture capitalist. You guys know what a venture capitalist is? I helped start, my partners and I helped start about 400 companies over 32 years. And a lot of them failed. Actually, I think the majority of them failed. But you know what? A lot of them succeeded. And some of them succeeded, you know, incredibly. You know, grew 100%, 1,000%, and created a lot of new jobs and a lot of prosperity for a lot of people. Many of them were in Illinois, but many of them were across the United States of America. And you know, who we did this for, with the money that we invested in these young companies to help them grow, was primarily pension money, retirement money, and mostly from teachers. Teachers' retirement pensions were our major investor. The teachers, so I worked for 32 years for teachers in Illinois, teachers in 27 states around America, along with law enforcement officers and other public servants who had retirement funds, and we needed to make sure that they got a good return so they could have a good retirement. And I was very honored, we were very blessed in our firm. I helped start it in 1981. I was there for 33 years. And in that period of time, we had a net compound annual return of about 22%. So we got well over double the stock market. So we created billions of dollars of new wealth inside the pension funds so our teachers could have a better retirement. And taxpayers could save billions of dollars. That was money we didn't have to put in the pensions because our investments did so well. And I was very blessed by that. You know, we made a lot of money doing it. But some people criticize me for having made a lot of money. I don't never criticize, you know, I never apologize for it. Worked hard, did well. Didn't inherit any money. My grandparents lived in a little double-wide trailer. They had dairy cows and corn. And they spoke Swedish. They didn't speak a lot of English. But my grandfather was my role model in life. He taught me 3 things, and I've tried to live my life by the 3 things of my grandfather. He said, number 1, he said, Bruce, whatever you choose to do in your life, give it 100% your best effort. Work your tail off. Be passionate about what you do. Work really hard. It's hard work giving everything your best is a source of internal satisfaction, and it's what life's about. He said, work your tail off, really be proud of your work and give it 100% your best effort, whatever you choose to do. Secondly, he said, get a great education. You know, he didn't get a good education. I think he got through 7th grade, I'm not sure. Back in those days, a lot of people didn't complete school. They had to go back and work on the family farm. And that's what he did. He was a dairy farmer in Wisconsin. He said, get a good education, go as far as you can, because that's the way you improve yourself. That's the way you can be the most that you can be. And he said the third thing is, make sure to give back in your community. We have a moral duty to give back and to help each other. And I believe that very strongly. He said, you know, everybody needs some help, and we have a duty to help. And so what I believe, as a good book says, to whom much has been given, from whom much is expected in return. I made a lot of money, but I told my 6 kids, Diane and I have had the discussion with them. I said, well, I'm not taking the money with me when I go, and I'm not going to give it to you. Two of my kids were pretty cranky about that, I got to say. But I said, you know, it's important to help in the community and give back. So my wife and I have taken the money that we've made and we give back. We build schools, we build libraries, we build churches, we built the Red Cross headquarters for the Midwest in Chicago, we built the YMCA, we fund teacher training, principal development. My wife's dedicated her life to early childhood education so that in child care, kids who are growing up in poverty and difficult circumstances can get a good education in child care when they're 2, 3, 4 years old, so when they get to 1st grade, they're ready to thrive. And these kids come from the most challenging circumstances, and they thrive when they're getting ready to go to 1st grade. So this is what we try to do to give back. And I decided to run for governor because I thought this is my chance to give back too. I don't take a pay, I don't take a pension, I'm a volunteer as governor, and I'm doing this because I love Illinois. And the reason I ran, better schools, because we're the worst funded schools in America. I don't know if you know this. We give the lowest percentage of school funding of any state. And I said, no more of that. We're going to have a lot more money for our schools. And number 2, I said, we should be one of the fastest growing economies. We should have more businesses growing, more entrepreneurs building, more job creation than any state. We got the best people, best location. And I don't know if you guys know this, Illinois for 17 years, we have not created any net new jobs. Think about that. Think about that. This is a failure. This is a failure of our government. We've created an environment with lots of regulations, restrictions, filings, fees, and we have the highest property taxes in America. We are very punishing for small businesses, and so a lot of our businesses have been moving elsewhere. And I said, no more. We're going to change it. We're going to become much more pro-entrepreneurs like you guys, pro-growth, pro-job creation, get the red tape and regulations off our entrepreneurs, bring down our property taxes, and then we'll thrive. More education quality and an environment to improve our business climate and have entrepreneurs like you create your businesses, and we'll kick tails. That's what we're striving to do every day. We've made a lot of progress. We've cut lots of red tape, cut lots of restrictions. We're working on getting a property tax freeze, bring down our property taxes. We're making progress. It's slow. Change is hard. You know, it's taken a long time to get the changes, but we're going to get them done. And I'm so excited to be here with you guys. So I love doing Q&A. So any questions you got about being governor, about the government, about entrepreneurship, I can tell you a lot of war stories about building businesses. We backed, well, we started 400 companies. We probably backed 300 entrepreneurs. And, you know, the lessons learned, it's a pretty amazing process. Yes? What is the most challenging thing that you've been through in your life? The most challenging? Well, boy, that's a good question. So I'll tell you some of the primary 3 lessons that I've come away with actually after having started so many companies. I would say number 1, everything gets done through team. Everything that you do, as you're thinking about yourself, think about your team. Who's with you? Who do you need? What skills do you need to be with you? Everything gets done through a team. And your team should be complementary skills. You don't want people who have exactly the same background, exactly the same mindset. You want a diversity, you want different points of view, and you want to respect your team and bring them together to solve problems where you're with give and take and mutual respect. Team, number 1. Number 2, treat other people the way you would like to be treated. You know, in business, sometimes there's a dictatorial, like, you know, I'm your boss, I'll tell you what to do or not to do. You know, what I've found very much is people who are what I'll call collegial. They're very respectful of people at every level of an organization, treat everybody as a team member and as a partner, and listen. Some of the best ideas for a business, and best problem solving comes from people who aren't necessarily in charge of that department or in charge of that issue. And they're maybe at some other level of the organization, and they have some of the best ideas. Treating people with respect and treating them the way you would like to be treated, whatever level of a company you're in, really important. And just like the Bible says, you know, just to whom much, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Treat people with that kind of mutual respect, critically important. And then I would say the third issue, and this is really, to me, it's maybe the most important thing I can tell you as you're starting out in your lives and your careers. Your reputation is your most important asset. Some people say it's your education, some people say it's your family or your circumstance or your amount of money you got. Your most important asset is your reputation. Guard it jealously, do every decision you make, keep it with integrity, and have a reputation for being high integrity, doing the right thing at all times, and that whether any company succeeds or fails, you did the right thing at all times. Your reputation is your most important asset. When people invest in you, and if you're going to build a business, you're going to want investors. When you build a business, you're going to want board members. When you build a business, you're going to want other management members to join your team. Your reputation is the basis upon which they join you. Guard your reputation. Be known for quality and integrity and doing the right thing. Those are the biggest lessons I can tell you. Yes?
What is your greatest success and what are you
Boy, great success. You know, success, let me ask you a question. How do you define success? Okay, so achieving one's goal. So, like, for example, how do you define that? What's a goal? What goal would you have?
I'd like to graduate college ahead of schedule.
Okay, well, that's a good goal. That's great. So everybody defines success in their own way. Some people define success by how much money you make. I don't. Some people define success by your, status. I don't. My personal definition of success is how much better off is the world, is our community, because we were here? Is the world a better place because we're here or not? Do we make a difference? Did we make a difference, or did we sort of just eat and sleep and, And so how much better off is the world because we're here? That's, to me, is my definition of success. Everybody's got their own. I encourage you all to think about what defines success. Happiness, in my opinion, we can get a lot of philosophy here, but happiness in your core and enjoyment of life comes from making a positive difference. It doesn't necessarily come from money, doesn't necessarily come from, maybe success is how many friends do you have? Well, I would argue nobody has more than a few really, really true good friends. People know a lot of people, and people might be fond of each other at some level, but a true friendship, having true friends, boy, that's a part of success in life. And I've been very blessed. I don't have tons of friends. I know a lot of people. And some people say they were my friends, but it's more a friendship of convenience than true friendship. Especially you'll learn that pretty quickly, whatever career you go into. But I've got good friends, close friends. We would do anything for each other. One of my best friends is from 3rd grade. We've been friends since 3rd grade. We know everything about each other. And some of my best friends are from my high school. I got about 5 buddies from high school. We still get together. We still go on camping trips together. We still talk about business together. And then I've got 4 friends from college. We were in fraternity together. We went through college together. We built businesses together. We're very close. We and our spouses travel once a year to go somewhere fun, go to New Orleans and just hang out and listen to jazz or whatever. But we know each other. We love each other. We respect each other. And how much money anybody's got, what their title is in life, doesn't matter. We care about each other, and we want to work together to help each other achieve our dreams and our goals. That's a wonderful thing. So true friendship and making the world a better place, to me, those are successes. It's not title. It's not money. It's not about who you know. It's about what's in your heart and what it achieved. And happiness comes, in my opinion, from those things. Yes? Oh, boy. Favorite book? I would say James. You know, my family, let's talk about religion for a second. This is an important subject, because it's a volatile time around religion in America. So my family, deeply religious. My dad's family, German Catholic. And they came from Germany to Illinois. They were immigrants in 1854. And they were corn farmers up in Lake County. My grandfather was German Catholic, who was deeply religious. He went to Mass almost every day. My grandmother was Catholic, and she got disillusioned. She saw war, and she saw a lot of the challenges in the world. And she said, you know, I'm worried that religion causes a lot of the suffering in the world, you know, fighting and disagreements. And she began to really question her faith. And we had some very interesting conversations when I was little between sometimes my grandmother would beat up my grandfather and say, well, you're going to Mass again? Let's talk about, what do you believe? Why is this? And he would say, yes, dear, and he would go to Mass. And he was very, very religious. My mom's family, Swedish Lutheran. Lutherans were a very common denomination of Christianity in Sweden. And my grandparents came from Sweden. They were very devout Lutherans. But my grandfather used to like to drink a bit, maybe sometimes too much. And my grandmother wanted faith to help change that, so she converted to Methodism. Because Methodists don't support drinking, and she thought that might change. It didn't fix the problem. So we had some very interesting debates about that and how faith can change how you behave. And then my parents. So my dad was Catholic, my mom was Lutheran. They argued about it before I was born. I'm the oldest of 4 kids. And you know what? Because they didn't, either one of them really want to, they were very on their faith. So you know what? Well, my brothers and sister and I were as a compromise, we were baptized and confirmed Episcopalians. And that's true. I mean, so we had, and I'm very proud, and I got my little pins. I was I was the star of my Sunday school class, and I taught a lot of Sunday school. And to top it all off, my wife is Jewish. So I mean, we have 6 kids, and we have fascinating religious conversations. And it's our values. I believe that there's much more in common across the religions than differences, and that we all come from the same source, and that our values of helping each other and love. And I believe the Bible, the most important lesson in the Bible is about doing unto others as you would have them do unto you, for me. And all of us as human beings share that. We're all God's children, and we need to work together and respect each other. Yes?
You said that you dealt with a lot of family companies in the past.
Yes.
What's some of your strategies to do it?
Yeah, so we've had a lot of failures, learned a lot of lessons about that. So the most important thing is the team. What we find is when we fail, it's because we didn't have the complete team in place, or a key team member wasn't in the right role. That in the end, it's really, business is about people. It's fundamentally about people. People think it's about technology or patents or location, or those issues matter, but it's really about people. What we found is you could take a pretty marginal or difficult business, and if you had the right team, you could really do some wonderful things with it. And the flip side is you could be in a very interesting space or have some neat technology, but if you didn't have the right team, if you didn't have the right people, you weren't going to turn it into a success. So it's really, really about people. And I'll tell you, the biggest lesson I learned is the CEO matters the most. Who's the leader? Who's the inspirer? Who's the visionary? Who builds the team? Number one, who's the CEO? We were very CEO-centric. And what we found is when we would start a company with a CEO, with an entrepreneur, that integrity, their talent, their people skills, their team building skills were most important, far and away the most important. And then what we found is when we built a business with them, a lot of times we build it for 10 years and then sell it, and it was successful. A lot of times the entrepreneur or the CEO would say, Bruce, this is awesome. I never thought I would do so well in my life. I did this for 10 years. I made 50 million bucks. I'm done. I'm going golfing. I'm gonna give a little bit of the money to my local church, and I'm gonna spend time with my kids, and I'll see you. I say, okay, great. God bless you. Good luck. Within about 18 months, sometimes about a year, you generally get a call back. Bruce, I love my family, but they kind of are going, but they're moving on with life, and my wife is like, or my spouse, sometimes a man, sometimes a woman. My spouse is, They don't need to see me at lunch every day. I mean, it's, and that was fun. I kind of miss it. I miss the work and I miss the battle. And a lot of times they say, could we go do that again? And we'd say, sure, let's start another company. And there were some entrepreneurs we started 3 companies with. There's some we started 4 companies with. And that passion for building a business and building the team and following a vision, very, very, very energizing, very, very motivating. But in terms of failure, what we found is when we pick the wrong CEO, they don't have that passion and the vision, then it doesn't work. But the second most important in virtually every company is the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer. You can have a passion and you can be in an interesting space, but if you don't have financial discipline, if you're not on your numbers, if you're not monitoring your cash flow, you get yourself in trouble very fast. And young companies are constantly challenged, and you've got to manage your cash flow and really be on top of your detail and your numbers. And if you're not, the odds of failure go way, way up. And so we found CEO most important. Number 2 most important in every business is the Chief Financial Officer. And they really need to be good. And we found that once we got a great CFO, we would hold on to them and just place them. We would compensate them really, really well. And as soon as they got done with one company or wanted to move on, we wouldn't let them go away. We'd say, you're our partners, be with us in all kinds of companies. And many of our CFOs work with us for multiple companies. Yes? Need in our education system? Okay, well, that's a great question. So boy, I could talk all day on education. So I ran for governor because I wanted to have the economy growing fast and be very competitive, and I want the best education system in America. 2 things, actually many things we need to do to fix our education system. 2 of the most important is to get more resources into it. We underfund our K-12 schools. We underfund our community colleges and our universities. And so we need a balanced budget in order to properly fund. Education should be the first priority with tax dollars. Before I became governor, in the 10 years before I became governor, we cut education funding 4 times in the prior 10 years. We would use education as the political football, and we would cut it. And I'm very proud. My first year, we increased education funding by $750 million, and we're pushing more every year. Education, most important thing. And so that's one. Number 2, the way we allocate the money is very inequitable. We have the biggest gap of any state in America between what low-income school districts get per student or per teacher and what high-income school districts get per student or teacher. This is wrong. This is, in my opinion, this is immoral. And we're denying the American dream to too many low-income kids. They don't have the property wealth. Their parents may not have the income to be able to afford to put as much money into their local schools. We've got to change that. So I asked for a bipartisan task force to be formed to come up with recommendations to change our funding formula. It's very complex, but I applaud the members of the General Assembly. They came up with recommendations, and there's actually bills now drafted. The Democrats have a slightly different version than the Republicans. The Democrats would like to give quite a bit more money to Chicago, which I'm fine. I want to support all schools, but we can't have downstate taxpayers bailing out the financial mismanagement of Chicago. So it has to be a reasonable balance. But low-income schools should get disproportionately more of the money, and that's what we're striving to do too. So that's the second thing. Third, I'm a big believer, some are and some aren't. I'm a believer in school choice. I believe that parents, whether they have a high income or a low income, doesn't matter. They should be able to choose a school that fits their child the best. So I'm a believer in charter schools. They're public schools, but they are run independently and a little more creatively. So charter schools, voucher programs. I believe that parents, regardless of their income, should have school choice. The other thing that I believe very strongly is you can't really manage, you can't improve something that you're not measuring. And we don't really measure things accurately in education. And there's resistance to that. But I'll just quickly, because I'm passionate about, we're out of time? Okay. This issue gets me very going because it's critically important. In Illinois and in many states, we think a good school is one where the test scores are high. Okay? Well, that's one relevant data point, but that's not the measure of a good school. And what really matters is where did the students come into that school or that grade? Where if they were already really high, and in fact they were 1 year ahead when they came in, and they left 6 months ahead. So they actually went down a little bit, but their overall scores were still high. We'd say that's a good school. It's not. It's about student growth and progress. So we need to measure from where the students start in a grade or a school and where they move over time and measure students' growth on an objective basis to understand whether the school is really performing. Okay, I got to run on to the next thing. Thank you for being entrepreneurs. Thank you for being future leaders. I'm all for you. Your success is Illinois' success. Thanks very much. Sure, happy to. Okay. Sure, happy to. So you line us up wherever you want. Up here or where?